Okay, there we are. There we are. We're back. What you need in the building? How's everybody going? So the discussion, as you can see, is about legacy and why this is a relevant topic today. Huh. Why this topic is very relevant today is because I'm watching at the younger fighters and I'm watching at the even the senior veteran fighters in the business. And I think they got some misconceptions about, you know, they got misconceptions about certain things in boxing, particularly the monetary value of a fighter and the undefeated status of a fighter. I think they're getting some things misconstrued about it, and a lot of guys are trying to make shrewd decisions. And it's kind of strange because the young, hungry ones, the young, hungry ones want to make a name for themselves. Um, they're talking about legacy and they're talking about facing any and everybody. They just want the best. They want to face the best. So the young, hungry fighters, obviously in the business coming up, they want the best fighters they can get, right? They will always want to face the best. But the guys who became world champion, established themselves a bit, they're not really there's a different language I'm hearing. So I wanted to talk about that because there's a misconception about Floyd Mayweather, particularly, that not only did he not face the best, but he also faced people who were not in their primes and therefore they were faded and so on. And I think a lot of boxers in the business are really starting to use that as an excuse not to face the best. All right. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, and then we're going to talk about Manny Pacquiao's career as well, and the perception that Manny Pacquiao has faced the best out there. And as a result of that, as you can see from my cover picture, I particularly decided to use this particular cover because I know this is Mayweather Pacquiao, very big names in boxing, and also it's provocative for some people so that they would join this discussion. This is a discussion so you guys can talk your piece in the chat section. But I'm going to speak about a number of different scenarios going down right now in boxing. And it's a little bit disappointing when I see certain things. So let me start off with the first piece of information that I want to share. But there's so much more I want to share, but we'll go into it. So the first one is the latest I heard from Blue Blood Sports TV is that sorry, not Terrence Crawford. Errol Spence is talking about a rematch with Sean Porter. Drink. All right, what's up? How many world champions did Floyd beat? Before we get into Floyd Mayweather, as you can see, I use that Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao for a reason, okay? But first, before we get into the Floyd Mayweather Manny Pacquiao, I'm gonna engage you, but you gotta stick around long enough to hear the other stuff that I want to say. I will engage you on that. So that was RA. All right, let's get to it. RA makes a good point, but we're gonna get to that in a second. So Errol Spence, I'm hearing, his trainer, which is Derek James, he's on the record as saying that a Sean Porter fight with Errol Spence, a rematch with Errol Spence, is actually a better fight, money wise, than a Terrence Crawford fight. Pause. That's his opinion. And Blue Blood was trying to defend that. Okay. But I also heard news that Terrence Crawford is not ruling out a rematch with a judicious Gavaliauskas. Pause. Now, these two guys are veterans of the sport. Tell me, do you think that Sean Porter versus Errol Spence would be a much more bigger money making event. Remember, Sean Porter has faced Errol Spence before than Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. 2. Do you think that Terrence Crawford versus Kell Brook is a better fight than Terrence Crawford rematching Egidijus Galvaliauskas, who's already been beaten by Terrence Crawford by knockout? Point number 2. Do you think Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford is a good fight, better than Terrence Crawford versus Egidijus Galvaliauskas? All right, so let me get to it. For some reason, because I guess Floyd's doing all these exhibitions with easy opponents or seemingly easy opponents, for some reason, people feel that Floyd Mayweather, okay, and I'm getting to RA's point now, that Floyd Mayweather has faced cab drivers or guys over the hill. And to maintain his undefeated record, he rarely amassed never facing the best out there. Okay, for some reason, people think that. And so that allows for Terrence Crawford to face a cab driver like I don't want to call Cavaliers his cab driver, but he a cab driver. Yo, right. So back to what I was saying. So yeah. So I was saying that before I was interrupted by the internet that suddenly just cut on me, that these guys are seasoned guys. They're veteran fighters now. Okay, these are not guys on the come up. Okay, so it's disappointing to me when I see these guys, and it seems like almost they're using Mayweather as a reference point, as if Mayweather, was a guy that never faced the best, and that's not true. Okay, the claim that many people make is that he faced a lot of fighters, at least the key marquee guys, out of their prime. Okay, which I don't really fully agree with. Okay, the thing about it is, and especially in the case of Mayweather, whether you want to dispute that the fighters were out of their prime or not, the fights before they faced Mayweather, they sure as hell look like they was in their prime. Okay, they sure as hell look like they was in their prime. Pacquiao was dropping Chris Algieri 6 times, beating up Timothy Bradley in a great fight. And these are young guns. These are young cats. So when I hear, and then, people talk about, the other guys that face Mayweather would have been too big, some other greats. And it's not making no sense because he's facing guys who are young. I see somebody used an example of Canelo Alvarez. He was too green for Mayweather. I heard that again. I heard that excuse again. So let me get this straight. Canelo was too green for Mayweather when he faced him, as if Mayweather could pull back a couple years and face Canelo right now, you really feel that Canelo's going to beat Mayweather. You really feel so. He's not going to beat him. He could fight the best possible fight he wants. He wouldn't beat Mayweather. You know why? Because Canelo don't have that footwork like Mayweather does. It's the feet. It comes down to the feet. Canelo is quick, but there's a reason why he fights the way he fights, because he don't have that kind of cardio where he can move all around the ring like Mayweather does. His feet just not that way. That's why we say sometimes he's flat-footed, because he fight flat-footed. He's explosive, he's quick, but he's more like a Duran or a James Toney than he is a Roy Jones Jr. or Floyd Mayweather, who have very adept feet. Okay, it's a big difference. Big difference. I'm not saying he can't move around the ring. He moves around the ring. He can get up on his toes and move around the ring. We saw it against Gennady Golovkin. Okay, he could do it, but that's not his game. That's not what he do. And against Floyd, you gotta have feet. You got to have feet, quick ass feet and light feet. And that's where Canelo. And Floyd actually faced Canelo in the pocket, outweighing him by 19 pounds, something like that, in the pocket. Okay, and he put a clinic on him right there in the pocket with him. Okay. Um, but you see, I have to clarify this. Mayweather actually faced, and this is the truth, more number one fighters than Manny Pacquiao did. But it's not by much. But he faced the men of his division. Chachai Sasaku was the lineal champion. He was the number one flyweight in the division with Manny Pacquiao. So let's just get this straight. Chachai Sasaku was the number one flyweight. So RA made a very good, valid point that Floyd Mayweather faced, well, it was 22 world champions. 22 world champions. We do not count IBO belts and WBF belts and all that kind of bullshit. We count the 4 belts that make you undisputed. And we're not talking secondary titles either. Okay? Floyd Mayweather faced 22 world champions in his career. He will say 24, he will say 26. They'll say all kinds of numbers, but the truth is 22. That's a lot of world champions in 50 fights. That's a lot. That's just a lot of world champions. There's no two ways about it. It's a lot of world champions. Manny Pacquiao is approaching that. He has now faced 20 world champions. 20. That's a lot of fucking world champions, bro. Ain't nobody in recent history has done anything near that. Not even Julio Cesar Chavez. Well, actually, hold on. Manny Pacquiao has beaten, he has beaten 20 world champions. He's faced more world champions than Floyd. But he's been beaten by, wait. Let me think about it. Has he faced or beaten? I can't remember. I got to check that out. I think he's beaten 20 world champions, but he's faced more than 20 world champions. Okay? Something like that. Actually, I'll think about it. Wait, Pacquiao's only been beaten by, he's been beaten by other guys, but I think the only people who have beaten him and he's not been able to beat them back, he's never had a win over them, is Mayweather, Jeff Horn, the guy that beat him at flyweight, Agapito Sanchez, I think he drew with him. Who else as a world champion? But Manny Pacquiao has faced the who's who. Okay? He faced Chachai Sasagu, who was the number one flyweight. He faced Marco Antonio Barrera, who was the number one featherweight. He faced Juan Manuel Marquez, who was the number one super featherweight. I'm talking about and beat. Okay? He faced him and beat him. He faced Ricky Hatton, who was the number one super lightweight. He faced Floyd Mayweather, who was the number one welterweight. He faced that. I think that's about it. Okay, that's good. That's great. Okay, that's great. That's 4 number one guys in 4 divisions. That's impressive. Okay, didn't win all of them, but he faced them. So when we say Manny Pacquiao faced the best, he did face the best. He did. He didn't win over all the best, but he faced the best, the very, very best, the best of the best of the best. Okay. But see, what a lot of people don't know is Mayweather also faced the best. He faced the number one super featherweight in the world, which was Gennaro Hernandez, then came back in the same fucking division and faced sorry about that, bum. He also faced in that same division Diego Corrales, who was ranked the number one super featherweight, again above Floyd Mayweather, and was also pound for pound higher than Floyd Mayweather. So he faced 2 of the best super featherweights in the division who were number one guys. They went up and faced the number one lightweight. Then he went up in weight and he faced. He did not face the number one super lightweight. Okay. There were, 3 guys in that division. He was one of them. He was the WBC champ. Miguel Cotto was the WBO champ. Carlos Mauso, on the same night Floyd became champion too. He was the IBF champ. And he was the WBA champ. And Ricky Hatton was the IBF champ. Okay? And in that division, Floyd had faced Arturo Gatti. He did not face Castazu. He would never have faced Castazu. And even if he did, he wouldn't have gotten credit for it because Castazu's arm was damaged. Ricky Hatton faced Castazu. Floyd faced Arturo Gatti. Carlos Mauser faced Vernon something Harris. Um, Vernon Harris, right? Vernon Harris, I think it is. Something like that. And Ricky hadn't faced Costa and Miguel Cotto had fought for a vacant title. He was actually the oldest champion of them all, longest reigning one. Floyd didn't face Cotto until super welterweight, and Cotto was the number one super welterweight in the world at that time. And then Floyd faced Ricky Hatton, who was the number one contender, and he was for Floyd's lineal championship, and he was the number one super lightweight in the world when he faced Floyd, right? So that's the only division where Floyd did not face the number one guy. He faced the number two guy, which was Arturo Gatti. And then at welterweight, he faced the number one guy several times. Okay. He faced Carlos Baldomir, who was the number one welterweight in the world. Then he faced Shane Mosley, who was the number one welterweight in the world. And then at super welterweight, he faced the number one super welterweight in the world, which was Miguel Cotto. So you can't say that Floyd didn't face the best of the best. He faced the best of the best in almost every division. Only 4 divisions. Actually, he and Manny Pacquiao, all right, have the same number of divisions that they beat world champions in. But he has more world champions because it's kind of doubled up. So you had Baldomir and you had Mosley, okay? Then you had Diego Corrales and you had Gennaro Hernandez. So because he doubled up the divisions, he had more number one guys that he faced than Ricky had. Okay, he had Cotto, he had 2 guys at welterweight. You skip super lightweight. He had 1 guy at lightweight, and then he had 2 guys at super featherweight, which makes 6. So he faced 6 number one guys in 4 divisions, whereas Pacquiao faced 4 number one guys in 4 divisions, and he lost to 1. But the point is, he faced the best. See, in boxing, and for all of these younger fighters out there, y'all need to know this. In boxing, it's about who you face and then who you beat. All the belts and all of that's cool. But if we have to rate fighters across the board, let's say they never became world champion, but they faced world champions or former world champions. It's about who you face. Because, see, who you face tells me the caliber of opposition you face. It's not about just being undefeated. If you could be undefeated, that's the icing on the cake. After facing all these great fighters and you're undefeated, that's great. Okay? But it always came down to, first of all, who you face. And then second of all, which is this, it adds to that who you beat that you face. Manny Pacquiao faced he faced the best in 4 divisions. Facts. The kings of the divisions, the man of the divisions, the number one guy in the division, he faced them 4 times. Mayweather faced 6 times the number one guy in the division. There was no ducking and dodging. And this is what you guys got to understand. You boxers, you Terrence Crawfords, you Errol Spences. I know y'all trying to make the fight marinate. I get it. But that don't make no sense. The best must face the best. This is what boxing's all about. Y'all say that. You can't look at Floyd. Yeah, so he faced Conor McGregor, but that was after he had faced Manny Pacquiao. He faced Andre Berto, but after he had faced Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao was the last best fighter he had to face. There was nobody else from his era. There was always the new up-and-comers like you guys. You guys wanted to face Floyd because of his legacy. Get it. Win, lose, or draw, you was going to benefit from it. Teofimo Lopez, why you think he want to face Lomachenko? Because for his legacy. Win, lose, or draw, he's going to learn something from it, and he's going to be better for it. I see my boy Showbiz the adult put down a he put down a bet on Lomachenko. And but you can see he's nervous because it's a 50-50 fight in many respects. That's why even though I'm riding with Teofimo Lopez in 5, it depends on what Teofimo Lopez does in that fight. I gave him the blueprint on how to beat Lomachenko. I don't know if he wants to do that. Follow that game plan. But he's going to need to mix, even if he's mixing it up with Lomachenko, he better make sure that he protects his weak side. That's the key here in this fight with Lomachenko is protecting your weak side. Don't just let him have access to your weak side. And once you do that, now he has to straight up and down face you and do something different. You know what his key thing is. He's a southpaw. That's what you got to do. He's got to take away his advantage, and you got to make it your advantage. You got to get your right hand on him quicker than he can get his left hand on you. That's the whole game. And yes, Lomachenko can lead with either hand, but his key weapon is going to be his left hand, not his jab. As strange as it sounds. So anyway, but the thing is, Teofimo Lopez is looking for greatness. He is looking to face the best guy in his division. That's what you're supposed to have. Right? Leo Santa Cruz went up to super featherweight. Gervonta Tank Davis is not the best super featherweight there right now. It's Miguel Berchelt, who's ranked the best super featherweight in that division. Nobody's trying to face Miguel Berchelt, which is kind of sad, but we'll see what happens as time moves along. But the point is, you got to face the best. Yes, I know. If it don't make money, it don't make sense. Right. We knew that. That boxing's always been that way. But don't twist it. You cannot just be trying to avoid the best fighters. Devin Haney, Gary Russell Jr. Gary Russell Jr. called out Devin Haney. Then he's not going to face Devin Haney. And he's talking about how superior he is to Devin Haney and all the flaws. And Devin. Listen, we don't want to hear that, Gary Russell Jr. The best must face the best. You're the best featherweight out there. Devin Haney's the best. He is in terms of WBC. He's not the best, but we think of him as the best lightweight prospect out there. Okay, we think of unofficially Shakur Stevenson as the best super featherweight out there. Might even be better than Gervonta Davis. He don't have the record to back it up yet, but he might be better than Gervonta Davis. You see, so when the public perceives the best versus the best, yeah, I understand you want to build a fight and whatever, but I don't want to hear you Terence Crawford facing Edgidus Cavaliauskas in a rematch, and I don't want to hear about no Sean Porter versus Errol Spence rematch. There's too many good fighters out there. If Errol Spence can't get Keith Thurman, if you want to clean out your division, Keith Thurman or Manny Pacquiao. But I heard Errol Spence. I heard him. He said he want to get a belt next. He wants to get a belt next. So that's going to either be Manny Pacquiao or whoever Pacquiao surrenders the belt to, or it's going to be Terence Crawford. But I understand that Terence Crawford's side is not happening, but we need to have the Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence fight. And we need Terence Crawford to face somebody and show that he is superior. So if he can get Kell Brook in the ring, better get Kell Brook in the ring. But at the end of the day, you better face somebody, bro. Face somebody. If this fight has to build, we don't need a rematch with Edgidus Cavaliauskas. What the hell is that? That's Bob Arum wanting his top-ranked fighter to get another fight. He done already got iced. You iced his ass. Why do we need to see that again? We don't need to see that again. You iced him. And you know what to do to ice him. So why do we need to see that again? No, we want somebody that's credible. And he's not credible. Okay? He's just not. He's not on that level. He's not. I saw his last fight. He's not on that level. The other guy was giving him all kinds of problems. All right? He went a life and death battle with that other guy. Come on, man. He ain't on that level. Okay? So we need Terence Crawford to face better competition. I don't want to see no Sean Porter versus Errol Spence too. Okay, there's a hell of a lot more fighters out there. There's Dennis Ugas. There's a ton of guys out there. Okay, that Errol Spence hasn't faced. And if you don't want to have a championship fight, if you don't want to have a unification with Manny Pacquiao or Terence Crawford, there's a Keith Thurman sitting down out there. All right, we don't need to see Sean Porter again. We don't need to see Sean Porter too. But really, Errol Spence talking about he gonna get around to facing Terrence Crawford, and then you not facing Terrence Crawford. Be a man of your word. Be a man of see. This is the kind of thing that we don't, and then and fans come and defend that stuff. You can't. No, wait. Hold up. It's one thing if Errol Spence wants to make the fight, and Terrence Crawford is ducking him. You know what I mean? But Terrence Crawford been talking about Errol Spence, and now Errol Spence is stalling. He's stalling on the shit. At least his trainer's stalling, talking about more money since. Shut up. All right? Shut up. Stop it. I don't want to hear about no money talk. Okay? Both guys should not be facing subpar opposition. I'm not saying that Sean Porter subpar opposition, but Terrence Crawford didn't face Sean Porter. Errol Spence did. Terrence Crawford's not coming around to facing Carol Brook, which Errol Spence faced a long time ago. So what I'm trying to say is, in this Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford thing, Terrence Crawford has not been facing the best opposition. He's just not. Nowhere near the best. Not even top 5 or top 6. He's not been facing the best. And nobody should give him a pass for that. Oh, he's being ducked. No, he's not being ducked. Okay? He's not being ducked. I don't believe that. With the case of what's his name? Demetrius Andre, he's being ducked. Okay, nobody's facing Demetrius Andre. We talk about the best versus the best, but nobody's facing Demetrius Andre. And he's one of the best guys out there. He's one of the top middleweights out there. Nobody wants to face him. Devin Haney, he's one of the top guys. Obviously, he's a champion. He's one of the top guys in the lightweight division. Nobody wants to face Devin Haney. Okay, Javante Davis got to fight. Ryan Garcia's got to fight. Lomachenko's got to fight. Teofimo Lopez got to fight. Devin Haney got no fight. How is that possible? How is that possible? And Gary passed up on Devin Haney. He don't want nothing. He don't want no smoke with Devin Haney. Javante Davis, he don't want no smoke with Devin Haney. So I'm just saying, you look at almost every division where somebody's being ducked. Dillian White, what is he? What color is his skin? Black fighter. Being ducked. They're not facing him. They don't want him to face. They don't want him to have a title shot for whatever reasons. You go back down, another weight class, couple weight classes down to middleweight. Demetrius Andre being ducked. You go down to welterweight. We got Terrence Crawford. Ain't nobody, but people talking about Terrence Crawford, you know, and some people say they're trying to make fights with Terrence Crawford. I don't know how realistic that is. I know Sean Porter wanted to make a fight with him, but he said, nah, I'm not interested in you. Carol Brook was trying to get, Carol Brook be dogging his ass. He's like, I ain't interested in you. I don't know what it is. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, you know, they assume he's being ducked. I don't know how true that is. Then we got Jamal Charlo, right? Middleweight. You keep going down. We talked about Devin Haney. He's a lightweight. Gary Russell Jr. is a featherweight. They're not getting into big fights. Why? Guillermo Rigondeaux. We don't hear about him. We don't even hear about him. He's at bantamweight. Why can't he get a big fight? All of them are black fighters. All of them. Black fighters. And I say to, I'm watching the young guns coming up, young guns, literally young guns. Hackett, Jamil Hackett. I like his attitude and everything. And he's talking about, just getting the big fights and getting to face the best. That's all he wants to do in his career. My thing is this. Win, lose, or draw, yes, you want to face the best. You want to face the best. Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury 3. The best face the best. That's what it's about. Right? Other people want to play mind games. But we want the best to face the best. right? That's what it's about. So at the end of the day, I'm tired of hearing these fans say, "Oh, he's not facing the best," or no. I'm tired of fans defending somebody who's not facing the best. That they can maximize their profits or whatever, but by facing somebody else. And no, Floyd didn't do that. Not especially not with Pacquiao, because this is where everybody could get their thing from. Oh, he's now retired. He could do whatever the hell he wants. He could fight a circus clown. He could fight a cab driver off the street. It's an exhibition fight. It doesn't really matter. Okay, he's retired. But when it comes to, you know, these young guns coming up getting the wrong perception, especially about Mayweather, the wrong perception. Okay, he was not a guy that didn't try to make fights. Guys ducked him. He tried to make the fight with Pacquiao. It's Pacquiao that kept on turning him down. Kept on turning him down. And that's what a lot of people just don't understand. He tried to make the fight with Pacquiao. It wasn't like um it wasn't like what's happening with Terrence Crawford right now. Terrence Crawford's getting offers. They're making Terrence Crawford look like same thing with Gennady Golovkin, same thing. Oh, he's being ducked. He's being ducked by this guy, and there's some truth to it that some guys are ducking these guys, but they're guys who jumping at the bit to face them, and they put out their offers, and then I think Keith Thurman, he's a ducker. I think Keith Thurman's a duck. Keith Thurman put out an offer that was ridiculous to Terrence Crawford. Okay, you're not hearing nothing about Keith Thurman right now. Okay, and Keith Thurman's got the wrong impression about Floyd Mayweather as well. You know, so that's all I got to say for now. I'm gonna keep you guys posted and tuned in. But at the end of the day, uh, it's sad when I see what's transpiring now. Um, and people don't understand. Mayweather was a guy who also was the face of boxing, and as a result of that, uh, they really paid attention to who they were facing. They tried to find the very best guy they could find to face, and a lot of people would be making offers. But I think a lot of people just never really quite understood uh, how people were ranked and how people were positioned, and they just believed the Kool-Aid on him, particularly him, not Pacquiao. Pacquiao got a pass on a lot of things. Got passed on a lot of things because he was exciting. He traded. He took punches. He gave punches. Okay. So that excitement that Pacquiao brought to the table is why everybody says, he was a true fighter and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Because he would bleed. He would get cut. The true Rocky style, sort of. Pacquiao, he also boxed and he boxed rings around guys. But people liked that. Floyd was not that. Absolutely no. People say, well, that's boring. I don't know what the hell they think boxing is, but boxing is not a tough man contest. Okay. You got to be humble in boxing to learn it. It's not about being tough. It's about being somebody who can prevail over the will of your opponent. And you do it with your fists and your feet and your hands and your body. Okay. It's not a tough man contest. Okay. It's a smart man contest. So that's all I got to say for now. And I'm going to catch you guys later. What you need in the building. I just wanted to talk on this topic because don't get me wrong, Pacquiao is great. Okay. A little bit overrated, but he's great. Okay. But Mayweather just did something that his legacy is one in which he was able to not only face the best, but to beat all of the best that he faced. And that's a rare thing, okay, because of his preparation, his dedication to boxing. His preparation and his dedication to boxing. His preparation and his dedication to boxing. He always said it over and over: hard work, dedication. That's a rare thing. It's not just being undefeated, people, because it's who you face, who you beat. It's not just about being undefeated. This guy wasn't just undefeated. In fact, forget undefeated. He beat everybody he faced. And of those everybody, we're talking all-time greats. We're talking guys that had phenomenal skills and ability. He even faced a mirror image of his own self in Zav Judah. He faced a mirror image of himself and prevailed. So, and we're talking about somebody who had abilities greater than Mayweather's. Zav Judah had more power, he had more speed, he had more quickness, and he was southpaw. So when anybody tells me, "Oh well, this fighter or that fighter would beat Mayweather and just beat him down," I'm like, "What you talking about?" The man looked at his mirror image in the mirror and he prevailed against his own self. But I don't know. I mean, Zav Judah was coming off a loss, so maybe mentally, but mentally, Zav Judah was, that was the only problem. Mental game and the hard work, the dedication to the craft of boxing. Floyd was on a whole other level to Zav Judah. You know. Anyways, people, I'm what you need. I just wanted to leave this video with you guys, and think about what I'm saying. It's not about losing, because it's about facing the best. So even if you lose to the best, at least you faced the best. Versus a guy who did not face the best, took another route, right? And he's winning all the time. That's why nobody really thinks of Wenyen Menyuffin as something. 54-0 is great. And he's a fantastic little fighter. He's not an all-time great. He's not. You know why? Well, of course, he has to do great things like big numbers too and beat people. But also, who has he faced and who has he beat? He's an excellent boxer, by the way. Who has he faced and who has he beat? That always comes down. It always comes down to that. You got to face the best of your time. That's what makes you great, whether you prevail or not. That's bigger marks on your resume than just facing guys who are not the best and prevailing over them, because there are levels to boxing. I'm gonna catch you guys later. I'm what you need. So for the younger fighters, especially the younger fighters who have to face bigger challenges, I'm talking to the Tank Davises particularly, and I'm talking to a number of other people out there, younger boxers coming up. Listen, man, it's about facing the best and challenging yourself. The people who are bringing you along as young fighters, they're gonna get you prepared for that, okay? By their matchmaking. You have to work on your craft, though. But when you get to become a seasoned when you become a champion and you have your first defense and you're successful, from there on in, it's up to you to push yourself to a level where you're facing the best. And let me tell you something. The money comes because you build up a reputation. See, Mayweather came out of the Olympics, so he had this reputation about him already. Okay, he fought a couple scrubs in the beginning, and then he stepped up his game, and he finally fought a world champion, the best world champion out there. And when he beat that world champion, it created more buzz. Now, he didn't become a pay-per-view attraction until he beat Oscar De La Hoya. But the point is, he would never have faced Oscar De La Hoya if he hadn't built up that status, that cachet of being the best. He became pound for pound #1 in the world, and then Oscar De La Hoya was willing to face him. Before that, Oscar De La Hoya was not willing to face him. He was not willing to face him, okay? And so Floyd was able to build himself up to that level, after having faced the best time and time again. He had faced, at that point in time, 3 of the best in 2 respective divisions. He had built up that pound for pound status to become pound for pound #1, because he went through 3 divisions, facing the best in 3 divisions. Okay? So because of that, he was able to capture that Oscar De La Hoya fight. You have to build up something. Now, Terrence Crawford has built up something, so that's good for him. And Errol Spence is building his. But the point is, when you build yourself, you want to get to the best, and you're dying to get to the best. That's where your money comes from. It can't just you can't just be generating money just fighting Joe Blow on the side of the road. Mayweather didn't become what he is now and is reaping the benefits of it by having exhibitions and stuff just by facing Joe Blow or a cab driver. It never works like that. He had to pay his dues, and in 2007, he was able to get the torch passed to him, and he was the money man from there on in. And then he started getting the big fights, and everybody was calling him out. But everybody that was calling him out was the cream of the crop. So when Paul Williams started calling out Floyd after he just got win the title against Antonio Margarito, that's fair game. He was the best. Floyd was the best. But he not gonna go for Paul Williams when it's Ricky Hatton right there, who's actually the guy ranked higher than Paul Williams. Cotto was ranked higher than Paul Williams. So he didn't go for Paul Williams. But it doesn't mean that he ducked Paul Williams. So, everybody was considering Paul Williams, a threat to Mayweather because he was so tall and stuff. Paul Williams was a Diego Corrales, a Jose Luis Castillo, a Carlos Baldomir. That's what Paul Williams was. Paul Williams and Antonio Margarito were the same kind of fighter. And Paul Williams goes and loses his title the very next fight. So my point being, for those people who don't understand, because this is the excuses you guys make. But the point is, what was the alternative? When Floyd faced Carlos Baldomir, Carlos Baldomir beat Zab Judah. Who did Antonio Margarito beat? Who did he beat? Who did he beat? Another Mexican dude, and that's my point. That's my point. So this misconception that Floyd did not face the best, or he faced the best after they were past their prime or whatever, is a stupid perception. Okay? And it needs to stop. And these younger fighters need to get the right idea in their heads. Y'all supposed to be, especially y'all climbing your way to the top, y'all supposed to be hungry. Y'all supposed to be going after the best. Y'all supposed to be hungry. And Tank particularly, Tank Davis needs to, because when Floyd was pushing him to face what's the kid's name? When he's pushing him to face for the, I think it was the IBF title. I think he first won. The same dude who just prevailed yesterday or over the weekend. Forgot his name. Jose Pedraza, right? When he beat Jose Pedraza, Tank felt like he was being pushed too much by Mayweather. But the truth be told, I know he's a young pup in the game. He's supposed to be hungry, man. You know what's the problem with Tank? He eat too much. Eat too damn much. So he's satisfied. He was hungry when he had to get out of the situation of where he was in Baltimore. But then he lost that hunger. He got to get it back. Devin Haney, he hungry because he want to build a legacy. And Tank, he got to get hungry. He got to want to get it. He got to want to get it. He got aggression in the ring, but the preparation ain't on top. All year round, you got to be on track. And I see fighters now, and I don't see the hunger in them, or the desire to want to face the top guys. Because Mayweather in the second half of his career, he was the top guy. He was the top dog. Now it was about being king of the mountain and staying on top of it. Right? And he had options. He could face this one, and then everybody was calling him out, and he would say, hey, you know what? I'm going to face that one for a reason. Everything he did was for a reason. Anyways, man, I'm out of here. I'm what you need. The day's almost done, but I wanted to do this video with you guys because I'm tired of seeing people say, oh, Mayweather did this and he didn't really face the best. And that's baloney. Okay? It's nonsense. The man only faced the best, and he was chasing down Pacquiao. This misconception that Floyd was ducking Pacquiao, it's nonsense. Okay, Pacquiao never faced Mosley when Mosley was the number one welterweight in the world, and Mosley came and offered. He didn't face Juan Manuel Marquez when Marquez became the number one lightweight in the world and beat Juan Diaz. Them two guys ended up facing Floyd. Then y'all gonna say, "Oh, well, Mosley was old." Get out of here. Pacquiao didn't want to face Mosley. Freddie Roach didn't want to face Mosley, and he didn't even want to rematch Juan Manuel Marquez. And even after Marquez got beaten by Floyd, Marquez ended up facing Juan Diaz again because Pacquiao didn't want to face him. It's two fights after that Pacquiao faced Marquez. That's how difficult Marquez was for Pacquiao. Pacquiao didn't want that kind of difficult fight. I mean, it is what it is. But I'm just letting people know that, this stuff about Mayweather picking the easy route that they try to circulate out there is baloney. In fact, Mayweather's level of opposition is higher than Pacquiao's level of opposition. Pacquiao has been at welterweight and fought more welterweight fights now, more than Floyd, playing catch up because he lost the fight of the century. Okay? And people try to trivialize Floyd's 50-0 because a lot of fighters in history have been undefeated. Not like that. Not like that. Not with that kind of level of competition. Not with that kind of cachet. Not like that. And that's where I'm going to stop right now. I'm what you need. You guys have been watching my channel. If you like what you're seeing, don't forget you can comment, subscribe, share. You can donate via Western Union or MoneyGram. Peace.